What's up, everyone? We are the Thralls of Metal. I am Shredlord.
Necrotic Nick.
And we are here to bring you yet another excellent album review, this time from the heavy-ass band Warbringer, the album Wrath and Ruin.
This also comes out on the 14th of March on Napalm Records. This band formed in 2004 in Ventura, California. This is their 7th album overall. I have been a fan since the beginning. War Without End, their debut album. Thought it was an absolute ripper. It kind of came out during that resurgence of thrash in the early 2000s, along with like Municipal Waste and Evil and cool shit like that. We actually reviewed Weapons of Tomorrow, which, God, came out like 5 years ago, which is
Time
insane.
flies.
Yeah, no kidding. I didn't think I would have to wait 5 years for another Warbringer album. But here we are, and for those that don't know, this is just a flat-out vicious thrash metal band that I would say doesn't always just play thrash, but that's kind of the core of their sound. I don't know. I like this band. They're riffy. They're just hungry for fucking blood and violence. And it actually features some current and former members of bands like Nails, Ex Mortis, and actually the band Aquila, which is a Canadian metalcore, melodic metalcore band. Their frontman actually has a YouTube channel of his own, Metal Never Dies. What's up, Mark? I just wanted to give you a good shout out there.
Not only are they hungry for blood, but I'm pretty sure they have a well-stocked cabinet filled with cocaine, as their high energy is never stopped throughout this whole album and pretty much throughout most of the stuff I've heard from Warbringer.
The discography, yeah.
Yeah. They go to 11 at all times. They must have the stamina of a Greek god, because if you play a show like that live, yeah, man, nonstop.
I mean, it's just, again, like nonstop vicious riffs, generally very fast-paced, but as this band has matured over the years, you know, they've gotten better at songwriting and songcraft and balancing out the albums and all that. Weapons of Tomorrow, I mean, to this point, was probably my favorite album by this band, and I'll be honest, this one's kind of on that same level, but there's some elements in here that I think got dialed back a little bit from the last one, and some stuff that kind of got like reintroduced. The stuff from Weapons of Tomorrow that I think is retained is their sense of epic, grand, bigger songs. The opening track, The Sword and the Cross, opens up with a sword being unsheathed and a dive bomb. Pretty much right off to the races, galloping riffs. It's chuggy, it's aggressive, but you get a lot of these big, epic lead harmonies. And man, this is one hell of an opener. Like, there are tons of riff changes on it. They pretty much kind of showcase almost their entire wheelhouse in one opening track.
I thought this was an excellent selection for an opening track. They did not waste much time. You get a little bit of an intro, but really it goes right into chugging your nuts off right away. And if there's two things that I've come to expect with Warbringer, it's riffs and leads. And this opener had no drought in either of those categories. It was riffs aplenty. And like Nick was saying, they kind of took you through so many different moods and atmospheres all in that opening track. It felt really good to kind of introduce you there into the rest of the album.
Oh yeah, and you get that in the back half of the album too with Cage of Air, which I don't think that's a very effective cage. And The Last of My Kind, both of them kind of showcasing their more epic songwriting and kind of branching out a little bit outside of thrash, which the last one introduced like some more blackened elements. Like they've been teased before in their work, but prominent black metal elements. Like the whole end of Cage of Air sounded very much like Dissection. You had, you know, those cold, icy tremolos, blast beats. But these last two tracks, again, showcase like a lot more songwriting dynamic. There's mellow death sections in The Last of My Kind, like almost like Arch Enemy when they were really good.
Long time ago.
It was a while ago.
Long time ago.
You hear more blast beats, some like, you know, slightly different riffs in there, like, you know, stuff that is a little bit more outside of their bass sound. And the other side of them that came out, and it's more along the lines of their earlier material, is just flat out heavy stuff. Stuff that kind of almost eclipses thrash and moves into, I would say, flat out death metal territory. Neuromancer. My God, that song is just a groovy double-time chug-a-thon. Even the vocals kind of drop down from their just vicious, over-the-top delivery. I love this dude's vocals. They're fucking great. But he drops them down a little bit, almost to like, I would say like kind of like a hardcore shout, but the song is punchy, aggressive. We're not looking for a lot of melody here. We're just looking for like, you know, venue-destroying, like, riffs and grooves. It does get a little bit faster on the bridge when the lead comes in, but gets down to, like, some more, like, death metal tremolos. Like, this is kind of a point where it borders on I would say like death thrash, like bands like Demolition Hammer or like Morbid Saint, where it's just kind of, blurring the boundaries between the two styles. Same thing with the Jackhammer too. The Jackhammer has like Slayer wails on it. It's just angry as shit. The whole back half of that song with the chuggy, just nasty groove in there, they halftime that thing. And when you halftime a riff like that, you're pretty much just asking for it.
To get kicked right in the nuts, because that's the equivalent, basically. The other thing that I like, too, is nods to what appear to be some of the old thrash titans. The song Strike from the Sky. It starts off with the old Tom Araya Slayer scream, and it goes through various motions. A little bit of Testament, a little bit of Megadeth. What else did you hear?
I mean, I just heard a lot of like 80s thrash. Like 80s thrash and 80s speed metal, because it definitely has like a lot of melody to it. Like stuff you would associate with like Flotsam and Jetsam too. But it's still, snarling, it's still biting. But you can just kind of tell a difference between, like, the faster barn burners on here, like A Better World, versus that one. It just has, like, that more 80s sound. Like, there's some gang vocals in there, like, kind of, like, similar, like, Anthrax. And the melodies themselves, like, it's kind of got that speed metal sort of vibe. Like, if they had clean vocals over it, it would still work. Again, like, Better World, that's more like 90s thrash. It's more aggressive, more snarly. I like a lot of 90s thrash just because that's where the boundaries, again, started getting a little bit blurred. And generally, it just got heavier and just snarlier. But I love good melodic thrash, too. That song in particular, that just has that vibe to it.
Another track that I really enjoyed was Through a Glass Darkly. I had to make sure I said that right. What I dig about this song is two things. Number one, it has a very moody, broody stomp to this. It kind of slows down and has a more somber vibe.
Definitely.
And that adds to the epicness. And number two, it reminds me of another song that I really liked. Sections of this song reminded me of another song that I liked from Weapons of Tomorrow called Glorious End. There's some things to me, like towards the end of the song, like maybe the vocal delivery and some of the syncopated parts. It definitely reminded me of that with some of the vocal cadences and some of the riffs. Very reminiscent.
Yeah, his vocals are dramatic as hell. Like, and lyrically, like, it's a lot of storytelling. And some of this, like, despite how aggressive the song is, like, there's, like, a lot of, like, desperation. Like, A Better World, man, like, when you really start listening to those lyrics, like, dude, sounds pretty fucking defeated for being so angry. Like, he's pissed off about being so fucking down on his luck.
Well, at least he's not sitting there feeling sorry for himself. He's just downright pissed.
Yeah, no, he's destroying shit. Across the board, the thing that I really liked about this is I feel like this might be their most balanced album. Like, it just kind of does everything that this band has done well before, except on one album. And it's paced, again, really well. Like, none of these songs really run into one another. They kind of complement one another. Even in its more catchy, melodic, more epic vibes, it still has teeth. It's just mean-spirited. It's dark at times. The somber vibe on Through a Glass Darkly might be the only point where it didn't gel for me. And it was partially due to the vocals. I love this dude's vocals, but he doesn't sell somber very well. Like, this song is dreary. It's melancholic. It feels cold, and honestly, it just kind of like reminded me of like a vampire lamenting in his castle or something like that. Very Castlevania-esque. It's got a little bit of that, melodic black metal flair to it. But his delivery in there is still so snarly and biting and aggressive. Like, it just doesn't sell the woefulness of it.
I can see that. However, I'm going to disagree. It's a weird contrast for sure, but it didn't take away anything from me. I just consider it unique.
It's definitely unique. But the thing that keeps me coming back to this band is I legit feel like they do get, like, better with each album. Like, they're just better at songwriting, crafting, balancing out the albums. And I like the fact that they don't rest on their laurels. This doesn't sound like the last one and the one before that or that. Like, they keep doing different things, but it's still immediately recognizable as Warbringer. In terms of any, like, negatives on here, I really don't have much. Like, the production on here, I think, is absolutely amazing. Done by Mark Lewis. It's crisp. It's loud. The drums sound fantastic on here. Everyone's performance is spot on. I love the lead trades. Every single song in here has absolutely crushing lead play. Though Through a Glass Darkly might have been my least favorite track in there, it's still a really good track, and it's kind of nice to have like a mood changer because everything else in here was just heightened aggression at all times. Not that I'm complaining, because that's kind of what I look for in my thrash. But yeah, I can't really think of anything on here that just completely put me off.
I'm going to have to agree. This was a solid offering. They came out with a new batch of 8 songs that, once again, keep the vibe of Warbringer, but it's nothing that, you know, they're not rehashing the last album. They're continuing on their Warbringer journey as they bring us new ways to whoop our asses with a belt. So with that said, overall, I'm going to give this a 4. I think this is a solid album. Once again, with Warbringer, I'm listening for the riffs, which were aplenty for every kind of mood you could want. It was there. And the leads were, of course, incredible. There's never a short of just awesome shred, melodic, dramatic leads and guitar harmonies. And that's exactly what they delivered to me on this. And I couldn't be happier. 4 overall.
I am at a 4 as well. This is absolutely kick-ass. It's Warbringer doing Warbringer exceedingly well, but again, it's more refined. Again, I just feel like this band has hit like a comfortable stride where, like, again, they found a way to make sure all the songs have a good punch to them, good hooks, and again, they paced out their albums really well to the point where, like, this doesn't feel like it's the same song over and over again. Lots of riff variation, lots of killer fucking lead work once again. They're pretty much just doing everything that they've done well in the past, again, except, you know, it doesn't feel old. It doesn't feel dated. It feels like, again, this band is just getting tighter with each release. If you're a big fan of, Slayer, Testament, a little bit of Creator, again, like a little bit of death metal here and there, or death thrash, and occasionally some black metal too. Check this album out, and just go ahead and check out the rest of their stuff, because honestly, Warbringer just has a killer discography in general. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They are only 99 cents, and our lone perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we do at least every month, and who knows what we'll talk about, but we're always down to talk about pretty much whatever, so you can ask us whatever. We might ask you some weird questions, too. Who knows?
Some of my favorite outfits that I steal from my grandma and I wear when no one's watching. We can discuss which outfit looks best.
Actually, he'll wear it during the stream.
Yeah. Do a little catwalk, so to speak. It'll be fun. You'll like it.
You better wear the shower cap.
Yeah, I think it gives me the old lady vibe. I dig that.
But memberships are the main way to support the channel now. We also still have our store, thrallsmetal.com, with our t-shirts and hats. That is linked down below in the video description. And again, if you would like to become a member of this channel, there's a join button down there for you to punch, slap, tickle, fondle, you know, whatever. We're not here to judge. We're just here to tell you where the button is, which is down here someplace.
And most importantly, thank you to all of you. Without you, this channel would be nothing. And we appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your day to watch what us goofballs think about one of our favorite topics, which is metal music. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and we will catch you later.